All right, good morning, everybody. I saw my very good friend, Rabbi Asher Meza. Even though we don't see eye to eye on everything, we can still be friends. I know that's shocking to a lot of people, and I don't know why it should be. You know, even like Rabbi Siegel always points out, Lubavitcher Rebbe was very good friends with Rav Kapach. But obviously, they had very different views on Judaism, and yet they were able to be friends. And attacks against Rabbi Meza are just absolutely disgusting, in my opinion, and uncalled for. That's beside the point. He made a video recently, I didn't watch it yet, but it was discussing, among other things, the doctrine of the Jewish soul, and he was talking about the racism of soulism, and a comment that he placed on, one of the videos that something he posted on Facebook and everything. And so I made a comment about that this idea of the inborn Jewish soul. I know Rabbi Meza, he tends to blame Kabbalah, and that's what he wrote in his comment, that Kabbalah is responsible for the racism of soulism, what he calls it, in the Jewish world. And the truth of the matter is, Kabbalah is not universal on this. In fact, I would say there are more Kabbalistic sources that would oppose the popular notion of the Jewish soul, meaning that you're special, that you're born Jewish because your mother's Jewish, that means that, automatically, which is, the way Rabbi Meza describes it, which is also not exactly true. What it means more is that you're under obligation, not that it makes you any better or special. What it means is that you're bound by certain obligations according to our belief system. If you don't share that belief system, obviously you don't believe in that. And in my opinion, I always say, somebody who doesn't believe in Judaism really doesn't have a right to self-identify as a Jew. I could say, as a religious person, I identify you as a Jew, but if someone who doesn't have any theistic-based, I would say, belief system, then it just comes down to racism. To call themselves Jewish, or to call a movement like humanistic Judaism, if we want to call it humanistic Jewishness instead of Judaism, maybe that's something, to call their leaders rabbis and things like that. It's much, it takes a step much beyond what the Reform and the Reconstructionists, engage in. I wouldn't put the Reform and the Reconstructionists in the same category. I do recognize that they, at least, even if I disagree with them very strongly, that still their usage of the term Judaism is not racist the way that secular Zionism, for sure, and humanistic Judaism, perhaps, because at least humanistic Judaism does believe in some form of morality and ethics, which, there are various types of secular Zionism, and some do and some don't. Perhaps, someone like Ahad Ha'am would be a different story. His approach to, his form of Zionism could be it still has certain racist elements to it, but it's not totally racist the way, a secular approach, whether on the right or the left, really would have. But this idea of the Jewish soul, what I really want to discuss, although I did want to discuss issues of mental health as well, but I think we'll have to make a different video about that. I'm already here at work. I have some things to do, even though I'm here a little early. But I have things I have to do. So this idea of the Jewish soul, I wanted to reflect on a few Kabbalistic sources of this ideology of the Jewish soul that the modern day movement that calls themselves Chabad. I would question their Chabad credentials. I would, personally, I wish the Rebbitzins' will was done that Rav Gurari was made the Rebbe. It would have been a much better situation for Klal Yisrael rather than the cult that it developed into. Although even Rav Hutner pointed out that really even from the time of the Rebbe Rashab already there was elements that were problematic within this group. It doesn't mean we can't have fellowship with them. Again, I don't have to agree with everything Chabad does. The same thing. I'm friends with Muslims and Catholics and Protestants and Orthodox Christians and atheists and other people I disagree with. It's not an attack on this Chabad cult. It's just pointing out that they are deviating from their roots, and they're not the original Chabad of the Balatanya, of the Tzemach Tzedek, the Mittler Rebbe, whatever, and really even of the Rebbe Rashab, who was a big tzaddik, and the Rebbe Rayatz, also a big tzaddik and a big Talmud Chochem. And also, so this last Lubavitcher was Gevena Voile Yid. I don't have anything personally against him. It's just with the movement that was created around him. Although he Semeglich is schuldig in this. It's possible that he has some fault in this as well, whether actively or passively. But it has nothing to do with the Mashiachist. That's the mistake a lot of Bali Tshuva make. They think that the whole problem with Chabad is the Mashiachistin, and that the rest of them are not a problem, and it's not true. Because first of all, they all subscribe to this theology of Nasi Adar, which is Kfira. This is really it's chutz l'machana. That bedavka. That how do they know who's Nasi? We don't have a Sanhedrin to decide that this particular rabbi is Nasi Adar over this one. In the old days, where the Sanhedrin is a different story, but we don't have such a thing. Bisman is there. Bechlal, like Chabad, they'll make it like the ones the 770 group that call themselves Chabad now. They'll make it like, oh, so you're saying your Rebbe is Nasi Ador? No, what I'm saying is that the whole concept of the Nasi Ador is Kfira, but it borders on heresy. Forget about Mashiach. But we have to put this. I don't really have time for that now. But I really want to cite certain sources about the concept of the Jewish soul. One is Rabbi Yitzchak de Ma'ako, who was a Rishon. He was a Talmud of the Ramban. Rabbi Isaac of Acre. He was, I don't know if they say that in English. It's written like the word Acre, Akko. We say in Hebrew. Is it Akrei? I don't know how they say it in English. He was a student of Nachmanides, who was of course a great Kabbalist, and Rabbi Bar Tzadok always points this out, that Rabbi Yitzchak de Ma'ako teaches that not everyone who is born Jewish is born with a Jewish soul. And there are many people who are not born Jewish who are born with a Jewish soul. Now that comes into a whole other problem. Is this question of, can only someone who's already, which is something that Chabad kind of pushes. They never deny that someone who is born Jewish has a Jewish soul, but they will introduce this idea. So just because a Rishon says it doesn't mean we're bound to believe it. It's not an Ikra Muna. I'm just saying that this is not a dogma. This is something that is taught by a Kabbalist. It could be true, could be not true. I would accept that first part, that not everyone born with born Jewish is born with a Jewish soul, or has a Jewish soul. Whether it means that they lose their Jewish soul, they gain it, they're not born, whatever it means. But then there's this whole other question, is that, especially Chabad, they're obsessed with this idea that someone who converts to Judaism, that's a sign that they already had a Jewish soul to begin with. That's problematic for other reasons, and it's kind of silly. it's easier to say if we do accept some kind of a doctrine of a Jewish soul, which again not everybody accepts, that there is such an idea, but that it would be gained upon conversion, right? Ger katan shenoilad dame, that the convert is like he's born again. He is a brand new life. So he has a new soul. Not that it was a latent soul that always exists in him, but something that he gains in the mikveh. We could say, possibly. Again, this is not dogma. This is something we could possibly teach. So that's one aspect. Another one is we'll get to the Hasidic Rebbes. Of course, Chabad, they always have to say insulting things against, as the Polish, the Polish Rebbes, they say, they have to always, they always have to insult everyone who's not Chabad. And that's a big problem with these people who call themselves Chabad, which is, again, it's not the original. I don't even know, again, if the last Lubavitcher Rebbe was 100% on board with all the things. So there were certain things, the insults he said against Rav Aaron Kotler and things like that, it puts him a little bit chutz l'machana. We can question, his credentials to a certain extent, because another Gedolei Yisrael that he outright insulted, there is what to say that, he's not exactly, like what he said, the Lakewood Rosh Yeshiva told the Satmar Rebbe from Monroe. He said, Chabad are not part of Klal Yisrael. And if when you do things like this, if you're insulting Rav Aaron Kotler, if you're insulting the Chavetz Chaim, the Chazon Ish, all these other Gedolim that they insult in a disgusting way, that's not. Then you're not part of Klal Yisrael. I'm sorry. You're not. You're the same like a Reform, you're probably worse, because you should know better. And you put on this whole show that you're Hasidic and you're Orthodox and this and that, and you have a long beard and the hat, and then you're going to go and insult Rav Aaron Kotler and Rav Shach and the Chavetz Chaim and all the Gedolei Yisrael. They have no, and the Chazon Ish, and that's not right. And I say the same thing about the Neturei Karta, who do the same thing. We can respectfully disagree, which is the way like the Satmar, but again, doesn't mean I can't be friendly with the Neturei Karta. Doesn't mean I have to spit on them when I pass by them. I can still love them as fellow Jews, but they're to a certain extent they're chutz l'machana and they're aware of this, and they think that they're, and the same thing, Chabad thinks that they're the only Eden, and the Neturei Karta thinks they're the only Eden, and everyone else is normal enough to understand. No, they're elu v'elu divrei Elokim Chaim. It's that simple. So what else can we say? So I guess that's about it. That's the main things I wanted to bring up today. Oh, we want to talk about the Jewish soul. So what else can we say? So again, I was talking about how Chabad, they'll put down Polish Rebbes, big tzaddikim, big holy men. So I think it was the Rebbe Bunim from Shishcha, who said that the soul is something that you earn, and it's based on your deeds and not by your pedigree. And indeed, really, that's what what the Arizal really teaches. I mean, if you look in the Ksavim, if you look in the Lurianic Kabbalah, it talks about the different levels of the soul that are gained through prayer, through devotions, and so forth, through doing mitzvos. So no, the atheist who just happens to be born Jewish, he doesn't have a Jewish soul in the sense that is popularly taught in certain circles. So that's basically what I wanted to share. Here we have 3 Kabbalistic sources. I'm not saying that the other sources that teach differently are therefore invalid. What I'm saying is, please don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. That's my main critique to Rabbi Meza, is don't say, because, especially, Chabad, what they always do, they say things like, Hasidim don't say Zmiris, or something ridiculous like that, because they're saying they're the only Hasidim, and Kabbalah teaches this, meaning they're apostle everybody else, that's not like them, and that's not acceptable. We're supposed to accept the concept of Elu Elu Divrei Elokim Chaim, and I'm not postulating them. I'm accepting that they have a right to be accepted within the canon of that we do have a diversity in Judaism. My problem is that they don't accept that. And those who do, I accept, and I'm still friends with I still have people who are Chabad who are friends. It's not hatred. Like, that's the thing. Right away, if you critique Chabad, they automatically call you a hater. And I'm not this is generated out of love. The Berditchev Rav said, the Kedushas Levi says, the Heilige Reb Levi Tzachim Berditchev, he said that if you love someone, you give them teichecha, you mechiach them, you meicha them, you give them rebuke, and that's what it's motivated not out of hatred, out of love. I'm not going to say this, even though I don't hate people of other religions, but I don't have a business to say the way that some Jews feel that they do, that they're upset by a liturgy of this one that'll say something to pediferous Jews, or I don't have a problem with that. I wrote today on Twitter, Michelle Bachman, she had to go and say she apologized for saying that she thinks Jews should convert to Christianity. If she's a Christian, she should believe that. Why should you have to? A religion that you have to apologize for, you should apologize for. Rabbi Lapin always says, I don't care if a Christian thinks I'm going to heaven or hell, as long as he doesn't do anything to get me there any quicker. And it's true. I would even still vote for Michelle Bachman, because I know she's not going to use the government to try to convert Jews to Christianity. But if she believes in her heart that a Jew should convert to Christianity, of course, that's what she's supposed to believe. That's a religion. And I disagree, and it's fine, because we live in a pluralistic society. That's what America's all about. We have religious freedom, and I wouldn't dare. Even Tuvia Singer, who I don't want to get into all of his issues. But I remember, how crazy Jews are, liberal Jews are. I remember they said, we got to get Bill Clinton to, I remember I was at a lecture when I was like a teenager. I was at a lecture with Tuvia Singer. And this old Jewish lady, this Kyle's mom lady, she's like, we got to write letters to Bill Clinton to ban Jews for Jesus or something. I was like, what the? And even Tuvia Singer said, no. That's taking it too far. We have religious freedom in America. We can't get the government involved in these things. And of course we can't, but people think they can. That's the craziness of the left. But that's a whole different story, and we don't have time for that now. So thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe. Comment. All the best. Take care.